next topic is going to be settings. We're going to be talking about the settings inside a meeting and outside and the different ways that you can adjust your meeting to make it how you want it to. So first we're going to start with Aaron. And
Wait, what? We're going to Aaron?
Yeah, we just talked about this.
You know, I've started taking the lead here, so I think it's just right that I start off on this one.
You have to sit down just for 1 second.
All right. We'll let Aaron do it then. Go ahead, Aaron. Take the helm, sir.
All right, let me share my screen here. All right, so we're in the web interface now. We're just going to go through some of the settings. You can get to that by accessing it through the site here. And in here, you can set certain settings for meetings in general. So whether you allow long distance numbers, computer mics, maybe you have your own conference call service that you want to use. Whether you want to give attendees full access to screen sharing. So me personally, I don't want to have to give access every time somebody needs to share their screen because we're always collaborating. So by default, I just allow people to present their screens when they want to. Now, if I was having a much more like a webinar, kind of like this, I probably would lock that down, but for the most part, I keep that on. The other thing is allowing new attendees to join using the Google Chrome browser rather than the actual web application. So this is something that most of the solutions support now is when you click on a GoToMeeting link, it doesn't need to download the app and run the app on the computer, it just launches it directly in the browser. So that's a pretty cool feature. The next section is in terms of the recordings of your meeting, whether you want them automatically transcribed or capturing slides that you're doing within your meetings. And then how you want to share that content after a meeting. So by default, I turn that off because usually I'm curating that content before sharing it out with other people. And then if you wanted to add a logo to your screen when you're not sharing it. So those are all pretty cool settings. The custom backgrounds within GoToMeeting are all handled by a third-party plugin called ChromaCam. So normally this is a paid plugin, but GoToMeeting has some sort of deal with them. So if you have a GoToMeeting license, you automatically get a paid license of ChromaCam. Which offers, the screen blurring and changing your backgrounds and doing the newscaster feature, all that kind of stuff. So that's pretty cool. And then the synchronization of calendars, as we discussed earlier, I have the GoToMeeting plugin in my Outlook. Now, in terms of inside of a meeting, there's a number of options that are available, and one of the coolest things that has come out recently is the ability to, when you share your screen, there's a beta feature right now for including the media sound directly through the meeting. And this has been something that a lot of our clients have struggled with, where they have a video that's streaming on their computer that they want to share with all of the attendees, and the audio is just not good because it has to loop through the microphone and back in. Now it streams directly through the app, so it's as if they're listening to it directly, which is really cool.
Wow! Welcome to everybody else. I'm so glad you guys could join.
Oh my God!
What a turd!
Touche, Bobby. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm not used to that feature, but they have added that in. It's in beta right now. The ability to clean your screen when you're sharing it if you want to clear out the background and some other things.
That's
or
cool.
to share.
We don't have that in Teams. What does it look like? We don't have that. I'm curious
about it.
Does
it black out your screen?
All it does is it just makes everything generic. So it only shows active applications. It doesn't actually show you the background and everything going on with images and stuff like that. So
that's pretty smart. I like that.
Yeah. Obviously, you have the ability to share just applications rather than just the whole screen.
You can share both of your screens?
Yeah.
All together?
Uh-huh. As you can see here, I have one very large screen and then my laptop screen.
You don't have that on Teams?
Yeah, we don't have that on Teams.
Wow. Welcome to the rest of the players, Bobby.
You touche.
In terms of other settings, I mean, you have the ability to lock the meeting, so you basically moderate who's coming in, copying the meeting link really quickly, inviting people, if you wanted to do that. Over here under the attendees, I don't have any other attendees right now, so I can't really show that, but you have the ability to hit the drop down here, give them presentation access, or give them keyboard and mouse control. So if you wanted to control somebody's screen, you could do that. You have your chat window here, which allows you to chat within the meeting, and you can send it to everybody or to specific people. And then the settings within here, viewing which camera you want to use, which microphone you want to use, what your speakers are going to be. Whoops, I did not mean to do that. Hold on one second.
Creating a hole in the space-time continuum.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to blow up.
And if you wanted to turn off the computer audio, a lot of times when I'm doing meetings, I will actually just phone in, because I feel like if there is any sort of internet issues, like if I'm at home or somewhere where it's spotty, I prefer calling in with my my phone, so I get a better audio signal, which is pretty cool. There are a whole bunch of other options in here. I'm not going to go into all of them, but I would say those are the core options within the app that you would use often.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I see a lot of similarities already, but a few differences.
Yeah.
One last thing. I mean, if you're recording meetings, like if you start a recording, once the meeting's over, it basically starts generating the transcript and the video recording. And there's a whole section within GoToMeeting that allows you to view those recorded sessions. So you can go in after the fact, go in there, download the transcript, which is automatically in a Word doc, the MP4 of the video and audio, any notes that you took during the meeting, and things like that. So you have the ability to like transcribe during meetings or add action items and things like that live inside of the meeting, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
What you got, teams?
What do I got? Let me show you what the other side of Bush League looks like.
I'm super excited right now, Bobby.
One of the things that you're seeing right here is just as I start to join it for myself as the host, I get these options here. So from here, I can adjust the volume, right, that I'm hearing. I can mute myself. I can turn on the video and camera and those options for me. I can do whether I want to allow audio phone calls. I can also do like room audio or don't allow those. So I'm going to go ahead.
I'm just curious, how does room audio only work if you have some sort of integrated room audio solution?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it would have to detect that you have see the search. I have to search the room.
Gotcha.
So that's where. Now there's a whole other discussion, but like Microsoft Teams has their own rooms devices, like we had talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then what happens is with mobile devices or laptop devices, it can detect that it's within near field communication of those devices and say, "Oh, I'm close to that. Would you want to use the audio from that room?" And things like that. So you can kind of help it know that you're in that room joining. So it can cancel the audio. It knows so it doesn't create a reverb and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So it's very smart about that. So I'm going to do computer audio, and I'm going to go ahead and hit join. Now I turned on the video, so it's going to get mad because the video is not working. Now, a lot of the settings that you're going to do, they're all up here for you, as well as with this drop down. So the first thing right here was show participants. So when I click on this, this is going to reveal who's participating in the meeting. I had in this meeting already had sent the invite to Kaylee, so I could be like, "Hey, you're not here yet." It'll send. It's actually calling.
Where
her
you at?
It's actually calling her. It's like
I'm right here. Stop
right
calling
now.
I'm right here.
It's actually placing a call inside Teams, which is pretty cool. That's kind of a feature. You can't really have that in GoToMeeting because this is kind of the benefit of having a system that's integrated as one piece because you're working with the company. But that's a really nice benefit of having it because everybody who's in the organization has Teams, and so you can do things like that. I can also, like you did, copy the information and join it. We already talked about that. I can put somebody in here. Let me see here. Now, if I hit A, notice it's not going to bring up Aaron because he's not in my organization. So the search option's only going to be people in your. Really, if you're wanting to invite other people that haven't already been set up in the meeting, the best way is just to copy this by clicking this. So what it did is it copied the invitation information in there, and then you can paste it in whatever Outlook, Chrome, whatever you want to use for your email, and just paste it in there and send. And then you've got all of your autocompletes for the different people you have that you've emailed over time. The autocompletes are not here because they're not allowed. The only thing it's going to do the search here is what's in your global address list for your internal organization, not anyone outside your organization. So that's what shows up here. Now, up here under the top of the participants, you think it would be a little bit easier to find, but this is where you can go ahead and do those settings where you can manage the permissions. So this gets back to kind of what you were talking about, which I think was a little bit more intuitive how you're looking at as you're going to set it up. Because I think GoToMeeting's concept is it's thinking, okay, most everybody's going to be a guest or potentially a guest. So let me go ahead and give you all these settings right in your face because you're probably going to need to play with these. Whereas Teams perspective, I believe their thought is everybody's that you're probably going to be doing these meetings on average is going to be inside your organization. And a lot of these settings you probably don't need to see all the time. So we just put it here for you to do that more from a guest perspective. But under
Which
here,
makes sense.
Yeah. So in here, when I click that, what it's doing is it's bringing up a web browser that has this information for this meeting. So and in here, I can say who can bypass this lobby. And by default, and don't think guest is guest people that are joining. That is not what this guest is. This is so confusing, and Microsoft needs to change this nomenclature. Guests are people that have been invited to your team's channel that you've already approved to join.
So that's interesting because in GoToMeeting, I can lock or unlock the meeting.
Right.
It's one or the other. So this does give you a little bit more granularity on, hey, if I know who they are, let them in, but otherwise wait for me to allow them in.
Correct. Yeah. So you could say everyone, only me. So that way, even if they are in the organization, I'm going to be the person that's going to be allowing. I think this is really nice if you know that you're going to have some people that are going to possibly join the meeting early and you want to have some pre-game conversation and be able to control who can hear it. That's a good choice.
I'm not a fan of why couldn't they just put this in the app, you know?
I agree. I'm sure it will be. And then to kind of finish up some of these things that we have here, these are for your audio conference calling. So inside Microsoft Teams, by default, you don't have the ability for people to call in. So you may notice on some of the other slides that and video snippets where I was doing the sharing, I do have a phone number on my Teams and other information. That's a conferencing license that you have to pay for. It's $2 per user that's going to utilize that. It's not $2 for everybody who can call in. It's just who's going to be hosting it is the $2. But because I have that, I get these options here. What's that?
So Teams does not include the basic conference calling features in the license. It's extra. Yeah. Interesting.
Well, but you're not paying for it. So they're in their mind, if you're going to be doing the voice piece, you're.
Yeah. A lot of times I'll be having a conference call with a customer where I want to provide a conference bridge number. Mm-hmm. I actually use GoToMeeting for that and just use the phone capabilities rather than showing my video and audio and things like that. So whether somebody's joining via the computer or their phone, like the app on their phone, or calling in, it doesn't really matter.
Mm-hmm. And it is that way in Teams too. Sometimes I've used Teams that way, that I haven't done it. What's nice about that is I can use the Teams app on my phone and I don't have to actually dial the number and go through that process. I can just open the app on my phone and just say join. And then anyone else that's
your participants would call in.
Correct. Yeah. So now, also interestingly enough, the participants, if they have their own Teams app on their phone, they wouldn't even necessarily have to call in too. They could just join it just like they would if they were joining one of their already organizations, because they're already utilizing Teams. They can just hit join, which is a nice feature. All right, so the rest of these options, We can, who can present. This is where I could go in here and I could say only me. So if I pick this, what's going to happen is anyone who joins will not be a presenter. They will show up as an attendee. So there are two different columns here. And if you see right here, see how under this, everything's kind of separate. Like I'm up here and Kaylee's down here. This would be called attendees, and they would just start stacking up down here. And then they couldn't do things like talk or present or anything. I could right click on them and make them presenters, and then they would kick up to the top here, and then she could start, or he or she, whoever that is, could start doing it. So the last option here is allow attendees to unmute. So in here, what happens is, see how this icon is white? And then if I were to mute myself here and I hit this, see how it has a little, it's kind of out. It's no longer filled in, but it has the slash through it. Then what it goes to is it goes to a darker color, and it indicates they cannot unmute themselves even if they wanted to. And then I can come under here and I can just say, okay, don't allow attendees to unmute themselves. So I can change this on the fly right here, which is nice. I don't have to go to the web browser in the.
Now, earlier you mentioned that Teams in the browser looks pretty much the same as this, right?
Oh no, they added it here now. Look at that.
They just added it.
Oh, look at that. Uh-oh.
It's under here.
Click on that.
Yeah.
Wow.
So now you can do it here on the fly.
Oh my goodness.
All the
and
same
I
options
just
are right
said
there.
this in our previous video. I said don't
So
come at us when it changes.
Click on it.
Click on it.
Yeah, it goes back to the web browser.
Well, why does that one still do the same thing?
I don't know. Why not bring up the other
Teams?
Yeah.
I think we need to ask.
Yeah. Bill, can you help me out here, buddy?
Bill,
what other
please
options
comment down below.
Bobby, what other options are in that drop down there, that new drop down?
It's the
here?
same.
Okay, yeah. So there's some more options in here, which I'm going to get through to. So meeting notes is kind of nice. You can make some notes based on the meetings. If you click on that, it kind of creates this over here where you can kind of take notes. And if you click on this, it kind of starts this little session here. And then based on the security is who can see or have access to those notes. So here it's kicking me to this other page here where I can start taking notes from it there.
Okay, so that's pretty similar.
And then from down here, that's where that meeting options is.
Yes.
Under device settings in this top list here. So that's kind of goes back to, it's showing you how you can get to the previous when you were first coming in, where you could change audio and some other settings. This is where you can do that. So when the person's like this is where you go to fix that.
You know, I feel like that's a common issue that people have, that when they connect to meetings, a lot of time their default audio device or whatever is not set up. And it takes them a minute to figure out, okay, I need to go into here and change that setting.
Right.
Yeah, so like when I go to, let me leave and join again. So when I go back in here, as you see, they're trying their best to help you out by saying,
That's
hey,
right there.
you know,
please set it all up.
But it's not, it's still kind of hidden. I have to go here. See that? It shows you what it is, but it doesn't like list it like right in your face. I think GoToMeeting does. It presents like, here's the ones we're gonna pick right here.
It's a drop down pick list versus a button.
Hover over, yeah.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, now if I click that, now it presents me where I can pick them. And sometimes it gets it wrong. You know, it's picking the wrong camera. It's picking what option you have here.
Well, I think a lot of times it's what is the last audio device you used on your computer, right. and with how many different ways we're connecting with people nowadays, I mean, it's just constantly changing.
Yeah.
Yep. And then from here, this is where it gets interesting. So this kind of gets into the backgrounds and the settings. Now, if there are more people that were joined in this meeting, I can do like together mode. So I don't know if you're into the NBA or sports, but all of the NBA, you know, where those people were joining and you had those, they look like chairs that people were in the video conference, and they were all like it would just put them in the chair, their head, and it made it look like they were all sitting in the stadium seating. Did you ever see that?
That is really cool.
Yeah.
So is this another feature where it's like, this has been here forever and I'm just learning about it?
Yes, exactly.
I'm going to give a +1 to Teams on that. That's pretty cool. And I think, I mean, at the end of the day, I think all of the products are going to end up having very similar features like we've already seen, but obviously the different companies have decided what's more important, you know, to release first.
That's a great point. Yeah.
So then I have options like, apply background here. So maybe when I was joining the session, I didn't pick it, but now I decided I wanted to do that. That's where I can do that at. I can turn on live captions.
Well,
So
go back
as
to that
people are
because that's
talking,
really
it's making its
important.
best guest.
That's really important
Oh,
because
okay.
he didn't have that integrated into his application. So GoToMeeting used a
It's a
third-party plugin.
Yep.
So this is actually integrated
Right.
into Teams, and you can add your own backgrounds as well, like how Bobby has Bob Ross as his background usually in meetings.
My personal favorite.
Love it.
Right.
Yeah, that's one of the things I really wish GoToMeeting did something about. I mean, using the third-party plugin, it works fine, but not having it directly built in, you have to choose that plugin as your camera, and then it modifies it from there. I think that plugin is a very popular one, not just with GoToMeeting, but with other services. Yeah. So it's widely used, but having it built in here is definitely easier.
Yeah, user-friendly.
So that's pretty much most of the meeting options here. The turn on live captions, it tries to its best to get.
It tries its best.
It tries its best to pick up what you're saying and putting it in a caption format.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can hit start recording. You can do dial pad, and you can actually, which is a nice feature, turn off your incoming video.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's very similar to the GoToMeeting option for just hiding everybody.
I think that it's really interesting, just like how Aaron said previously about the core values of Teams and GoToMeeting, you can tell are different, but there's so many features that are similar, and you get the same thing and you get your point across the same way. But you can really tell that the way that they were going with their main use of their product was very different.
List 2 things, and I'll do the same. So I'm going to live and die by the sword.
List really put me on the spot here, Bobby.
Yeah, I know.
List 2 things that you liked about Teams that you wish that GoToMeeting had.
Sure.
And I'll let you think about it because I have some.
I don't even need to think about it. I mean, out the gate,
Go
it's going to be the integration of the backgrounds. I mean,
Okay.
They both support it, but having it within the application seems a lot easier. So that's definitely one thing. The other thing would just be the ease of connecting to people within your organization. Like we discussed earlier, yes, GoToMeeting, Teams, and all these other applications, they support single sign-on with your organization, but in GoToMeeting, I can't just click on somebody's name and connect with them,
Right.
So in that regard, Teams definitely has a leg up for me. And like I said before, I'm going to use both of the platforms. And I think that's important for everybody to be flexible with, not just sticking themselves into one box. I mean, there's different reasons why you should use one versus the other.
I'd have to say 2 of the things that I liked. Number 1, I really loved, and this may seem insignificant to you, but I think it's really kind of a big deal about how you can hide sort of the desktop.
Totally agree.
The clean desktop.
Yeah, that clean desktop was a cool idea. I'm like, ooh, I really wish that was available inside Teams. That would be.
That saves a lot of my editing too.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool, especially if you have a personal desktop background that you really don't want people to see, or you've got other applications up, things like that. It makes sure that they're only seeing what you want to see.
Yeah, I agree. And I also feel like that GoToMeeting, it has some of the features and settings more in your face to make the ability for collaboration and limitation of that collaboration a little easier. I know that GoToMeeting senses that they have an edge there, and I know that Teams feels like they have a bit of a disadvantage, and that's why they're trying to do that. And it's interesting how I know both companies are looking at their weak spots and how they can try to adjust it as rapidly as they can in this market where everybody's doing so many meetings and utilizing their products. Each of those individual respective companies have grown in leaps and bounds in market share, not really market share, but in utilization of their products because of the current environment.
Right.
I really do wish that I could right click on my Teams icon and like schedule a
Yes.
meeting right there. I would love to be able to right click and see all of the Teams meetings that are going to happen in the next 2 weeks or week
Right.
time
Yes.
frame,
Mhm.
and just have them all in one spot, because there's so many times where I'm like, okay, when is that meeting that I have? And I have to like scroll through all
Great
of my
point.
calendar looking for that, and it
Mhm.
might be a 15-minute meeting, right? So it may not be very large for me to see,
That's
and I'll
right.
just
Yeah.
miss it. Where having just a comprehensive list would be super helpful. And the other thing is, GoToMeeting will never be able to take over exactly what Teams can do,
Mhm.
because it's a completely different product.
Right.
But Teams can definitely encroach very severely on GoToMeeting's capabilities, because
Right.
of the fact that they're just completely coming from different planets, right?
Mhm.
And so it's that difficult line that Microsoft has to walk between being the big bad monopoly guy who's crushing the
Yeah.
competition, right,
Mhm.
to also providing the level of support that the users want to have. I mean, as a person who lives and breathes in Teams, the more features they have, I'm like, keep them coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not really thinking about a monopoly. I'm thinking about just keep giving me options that I really
Right.
love to use.
So true.
But that's not how they have to think about it. They've got to think about, they don't want to be called in front of Congress, because it's happened before.
Yes. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I want to say a special thanks to
Yes.
our friend Aaron for coming on here and doing this with us. Thank you so much, Aaron,
Thanks for
for
inviting
coming.
me.
Thank you for sharing your knowledge with us, because we could not do this literally without you. We have no idea anything about GoToMeeting. So thank you for coming on here, and thank you for sharing all that you have to offer with GoToMeeting. And we hope that you guys have a little bit of an understanding of all the different applications that are out there. I know that we share Teams with you all the time, but there are different options, and we want you to be able to feel comfortable to use different ones and things that fit the way of life that you are in, and your meeting styles and stuff like that, which is super cool that we have the opportunity to do that. So we hope you guys enjoyed, and please comment down below who you think won this Teams versus GoToMeeting
Oh
battle.
no.
And also, if you guys have ever used GoToMeeting, or if you guys have used GoToMeeting and not Teams, let us know. We're very curious. And if you have any questions or anything like that, comment down below. We'd love to hear it. But thank you guys so much for watching. Hey, thanks so much for watching our video. Make sure to hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe to our channel for more content. Bye.